What's up, everyone? It's your friendly neighborhood platypus here. I don't know if some of you will get it. Some of you might. Probably won't. How you going? It's been a while, and I'm doing something different this time. This is obviously 3D printers. Now, first and foremost, I'm sorry. I've made nearly no content on any channels in the last couple of months. Life has been just absolutely hectic, and also YouTube is a pain in the ass if you don't know that. Now, anyway, separate to that, I'm recording this now, and I recorded another video yesterday about another topic, but I'm going to publish this one first. I'm going to apologize in that one too. Disregard it, or don't. I might not publish it for ages, but also can't be asked editing, so this is going to be a little bit rough. And then also my apologies in advance to Anycubic. This is about my experience with the 3D printer that I got. Their other 3D printers might be great. This might be a great printer, and I just got a dud. But I also then had a bad experience with their support, and it's overall just been an utter pain in the ass and a waste of $1,000. So I'm sharing that experience with others because there's a few lessons learned in this as well that I think are really important. And I apologize to the support people I cracked the shits with. I didn't crack the shits. I was just like, come on, this isn't good enough. Give me a proper solution. But also, I understand that they do have a language barrier. These mobs are pretty much all Chinese, and I'm pretty certain they're all the same company or same ODM, or they might be the same company. Who knows? But in my opinion, this Photon Mono X 6K is the worst 3D printer. I bought it because it was a good price, good spec, and they had good reviews. I've met other people who have liked their Mono X 6K. I hate this thing. And as of yesterday, it's dead. I didn't use it for a couple of days, came back, even if I unplugged the USB, turned it on, the touchscreen doesn't work. Now, this is on top of a number of issues. Ignore the quality of that's in there at the moment. I was just kind of cleaning it out to pack it away. I've had other build issues with this, which has been a pain. And some of it's me, some of it's not. Like, you can see on this, inherently there is like that grid pattern from the LEDs. That's just what you get. That's expected. And apparently that's improved in the new models they've just released. But then trying to get supports to attach properly has caused all sorts of deformities like this. And I've done so many prints using different slices trying to get supports right. So I'm not sure what the story is there, but I kind of just gave up eventually too. You can see on some pieces printed like this one, there are these lines. Now this one was printed on an angle that way. So wait, which way did I print it? It would have been, yeah, about that direction probably. So you can see these lines going through it. And then one side is excellent. That side is perfectly fine. And that side I had the supports on, so it's a garbage factory. Yeah, I'm not sure what the deal was with that, but not as straight as I would like it. And you can kind of actually see the side that has had the support. This is actually quite bowed. So it really isn't leveling nicely there, and I don't know why. I printed some test pieces like these tubes to test the strength. There was a 1.5 or a 2 mil wall, and I printed a few different variations on a few angles as well. Like I printed the same thing twice, once angled, one not, and they do print good. I do definitely get issues higher up. You can again see that pattern on there, more specifically on one side. I'm not sure. Yeah, that would have been on the ascending X or Y side. And look, those things you can live with, but it was just no end. This one, you can see this line here, that's where I paused it. You can also see, like, when we get further down, start getting these odd patterns on it, these lines. Now, for any production print, especially molds like this, it's a real pain. You can't actually get that out of the inside, so that propagates through the whole thing. And I measured it starts at about 130 mil mark. So that was strange. You can even see as well, it didn't do so good at the top end there. So the first kind of 10 to 13 mil is always quite deformed, and that's even after the transition period and the bottom elephant's foot that you expect. So for a 6K MSLA printer, it just didn't have that quality that I thought was going to be there. I thought, yeah, it might be hard to get, the supports right to hold onto it correctly. It might be hard to do your resin exposure rangefinders. And I expected that we'll get the LED pattern, but I didn't expect these constant ripples and all the other issues I've had with it. Now you can see in my raw file here, it actually printed pretty good. This is using their plant-based resin, which I love. And if this wants to focus, this is a really, really good test file. So this came out beautifully, and that's at 2.5 seconds. And you see I've got the thermometer there. It's low now, it's turned off the heating, but I keep the room at 25 degrees. So 25 degrees with the eco resin at 2.5 seconds is excellent. And that's what the resin docs say to use. But then I was still getting the other issues, and even with their test print that they sent me to see how it prints, you see it is a nice sharp print, but you can see the supports really kind of just held on there. I tried a few different things like soaking them in warm water and whatnot, but the supports are getting too deep, and if they're not that deep, they just fail. They don't attach. I've got literally buckets of, I don't know if I can even get this. I have a 20-litre bucket full of damaged or failed prints. I've wasted 3 litres of the resin, so like $100 worth trying to get this going. There's been other issues though, so let's have a quick look at those and hopefully inform you a bit. And look, if you've got some solutions, if anyone watching this can fix this, it'd be great. I've got heaps of prints lined up that I need to get done for work, for hobby, for a mate that needs car parts, and I'm now stumped. So let's have a look at these other issues, see what you reckon, and go from there. Now the first one's not major, but UV light leaks out of the bottom and around the back of this thing. Not ideal because it's not good for your eyes, but it's not a showstopper, you just get used to it. Next up, there's no resume function, so you can't stop the print to do something and then resume it later. Like you might want to unplug the USB, change the rest of the layers and put it back. It'd be really awesome if they had resume, but they don't. And I believe it's capable, it would just be firmware. The mobile app is garbage. I'm using my mobile to record this, so I can't show you, but there's 3 different apps. One of them's community. None of them seem to work with this model. I don't even know how to add it. Support kept ignoring my questions when I asked them about that. And yeah, just it doesn't seem capable. You've then got the issue with the lid. Now, if you have a look at this, this really bothers me. It's such a simple thing, but the back of this is quite sharp. And so what happens very often is when you take the lid off or put it on, as you're lifting it, you scrape like that. And of course that scratches the lid, there's scratches on there, but it also means you end up with these tiny bits of plastic that land in the resin tray. They just float on down, and that has been a pain. It's bit me once or twice. We then have the wash and cure machine. This vibrates. I'm not sure if you'd be able to see it so well there. Yeah, you can kind of see it's vibrating as it's turning. If I put something in there, just put this little filter thing, I can do it slightly less mentally challenged. You can kind of see. Sometimes it rocks worse, sometimes it rocks better. I have had small things. Oh, there you go, you can see it there. And even hear it. I've had small things fall over when they're curing because of that. And the instruction for that one was to take the bottom out and make sure the motor is installed firmly or screwed in tightly. I'm not going to bother with that because I'm pretty certain it is. And at this point, it's of no use because this doesn't work. The issue with this one, as for the prints at about the 130mm mark, getting those patterns every few mil, I honestly thought, given the spacing on them is, the spacing there, given the spacing is about the width of the ball screw, I was almost, if that's even a ball screw, it doesn't look like it, I was starting to think it's an issue to do with the screw. So the previous models had the screw attached at the top, so it had no wiggle. But then that meant that there would be maybe some torsion or it'd be slightly out of alignment. So now it doesn't attach at the top, but it could be relating to this issue. They sent me a whole other motor and screw. I haven't installed it. I just opened the package and had a look at what was included. And honestly, it's great that they sent me this, but it's a brand new printer that I've had for less than 3 months now. I've done maybe 20 prints on. It's already got this failure. The LCD failed yesterday or the day before, just unexpectedly, and I can't get that working. And normally things just get replaced, or you take it somewhere and they fix it, but their expectation was they want me to disassemble it and install this new part myself, quite possibly doing more damage to it. So there's that one. Next up, the time it gives you on here, it's just a firmware fix, little nitty gritty thing. When you do print something and it tells you the time remaining, it's almost always wrong. And given that these prints can take, 12, 16 hours, it'd be kind of handy if that was actually right. And I don't feel like it would be that hard to calculate. Next up, the FEP it comes with is really terrible. Don't even try to use it. Pretty much none of my prints worked. I changed to this stuff. I didn't realize that it was a matte film. It was an improvement, but still not ideal. What you want, and what they really should start shipping them with, is PFA or nFEP. This stuff is excellent and is exactly what you want. It's 5 pieces for $100 or something. That's the way to go. So if they would ship it and stock it and even just put one good sheet in with it, that would be fantastic. It'd make a world of difference for people that are just getting into these. Now, I do know a lot about 3D printing. I've been in the industry for a long time, never made a video on it, never used it for production before getting this one. By no means, I'm not like Makers Muse or any of those guys that are through and through with 3D printing, but I know a fault when I see one. I know technology, faulty. Touchscreen doesn't work, faulty. Vibrating halfway up, faulty. Vibrating all the time, faulty. I did note that this isn't completely flat, so what I've done with my build plate here is colored it all in and then started sanding it. And it kind of just shows you can see there is a, if I can get the light, there is a bit of a ridge through there, and I've noticed that when I'm printing, but it's also quite high on 2 of the edges, and I've noticed that when I'm scraping it with my scraper that I keep catching the edges sometimes, because I think they're a bit high. So not ideal, but you can just sand it flat. Your materials will adhere more if you do that. It does have like a micro porous surface there that makes it a little bit easier to scrape everything off. But also the scraper that they ship for you is pretty bad. This thing's got a really fat edge, so it can damage your prints if they're fine in detail. What I ended up doing is just going to Bunnings and grabbing one of these Kanga scrapers, then sharpening the living bejeebus out of it. So that way you can actually scrape the entire build plate at once, and that worked quite well for me. Now, it said it had Ethernet. It doesn't. It has Wi-Fi. Which is great. It's useless. It does nothing. It joins your network and that's it, because the mobile app's crap and there's nothing that can be done from the computer. But it does not have Ethernet like it said it did. That was slightly frustrating. Now, another fault I've come across, they advertise you got this 4-pin leveling thing. That's all well and good. You level it the first time. You shouldn't have to level it again, except if you're telling it to go upwards, like you're retracting this and it accidentally hits the top, it will just keep bashing that top plate. It A, is not good for the motor. B, it throws the calibration off, and C, it just seems like a bad design. If it's calibrated, it should know to stop when it gets to the top. That is not a hard thing to fix. Or if it's hitting something either on the bottom or the top, they're going to know because the motor will be drawing more current. Turn it off, cut it off. That will stop breaking the screen. That will stop smashing into the top repeatedly. What else have we got in here? It likes markers in the resin vat here. It would be really awesome if it just had like 100mm, 200mm, whatever markers. So, your print's going to be 450mm. You can pour in pretty much exactly the amount that you want. Again, it's not a fault with this. It's an improvement they could have easily done with what it was meant to be, or it's essentially like their flagship product. They then released the new Anycubic Workshop 3.1, which crops files. So you get the Resin Exposure Rangefinder RAW file, and you have to modify the normal exposure time. If you do that with Anycubic Workshop, the printer can't print it. It just crashes. I had to go and edit it with UV tools, and then it printed fine, thankfully. So that's how I got those beautiful test files out. But look, I thought it was a good printer, and I'm still stunned. It's been no end of hassles for me. Hundreds of dollars in materials like isopropyl alcohol to clean it, FEP sheets and PFA sheets to find the right one, hundreds of dollars in shipping and this material so that I could actually print it, the resin. And the resin's great. I'm going to keep buying this plant-based resin. That is the best stuff. It's low odor. It doesn't impact platinum pure silicon if you're casting food molds and stuff like that. It's very easy to work with. I hope it's non-toxic. So yeah, I'm going to keep sticking with that. But it is expensive. Now, there are some good things about it too. It prints up to 245mm high, which is why I got it. Good build volume. Unfortunately, none of the new ones they've just released do this. They're all capped at 200mm. That might be because of the issue that I've been having. They might have found, all right, the structure they've got isn't ideal for printing that high. Let's make everything slightly lower. Similarly, this is meant to be 80 millimeters an hour, which is quite good, but they've dialed that back now. The new equivalent, 60 millimeters an hour. So they've actually slowed it down. Again, that could be because of the issues that similar to I've experienced. They've gone, all right, that's too fast for our resin or too fast for our screws. It does have this dual guide, which is really, really good on your Z-axis. So it should be a very level, consistent Z-axis. And I'll give it credit, it seems like the point. It seems like they have got that. The price was pretty good. It was $8.99 Australian for the kit of the lot. I think you get 2 of those, the Wash and Cure Plus, the Mono X 6K. So it puts the machine at about $590. I'd pay that for another one of these if it actually worked. So it looks like that's going to be about 300-ish US. I think that's a good price. And it's available in Australia. And the fact it does have Wi-Fi. So like there are good things here. And the reviews are great. But I've been burned. I've had issues with the build plate not being flat, with the screw bottoming out the top or the bottom if you collide with that, with the bad FEP that you get with it, with the touch screen failing, with the weird wobble that I'm getting in my print. So it might have been dropped in shipping. I don't know, but I shouldn't have to fix my own machine that's less than 3 months old. It should just get replaced somewhere, somehow. I don't even know. They've brought out the 6KS now to replace this. They've got a new UV light something or other that doesn't have that pattern anymore, apparently. So I've got a blue lid instead of this yellow UV resistant lid. But yeah, as I said, it's only 200mm build volume, not 245. And height, that is. I didn't look at the X and the Y. And it's only 60 millimeters an hour, not 80. So essentially the new revision of the product, the 6K turned 6KS, slightly smaller, slightly slower, and a new UV grid. I think that would fix all the issues I'm having, except I need it taller. So I don't know what to do. Should I set this on fire? Should I put a bullet through it? I'm going to box it up because of course it's dead. It's no use to me. I'd rather have my room back in the laundry here. But I am open to any ideas if any of you know how to either fix it so I can actually do production molds with this, which is what I want it for, or something else. Throw it off the roof of a building, drag it behind the car. I don't put Linux on there and play Pac-Man. Whatever you suggest, I'm all ears. Now, the other new models they've brought out do have some awesome features. They've got auto leveling now, 12K screens, like 8K only just came out at the time that I bought this. There are 105mm an hour models that they've done. They have a 19 by 24 micrometer XY precision, which is resolution, which is excellent. This one's got a 34.4 micrometer XY 50Z, I think, which is still excellent. Like if you look at some of this fine detail from this test print, which is snapped off, you can even see there are numbers on top of these. I don't know if you'd be able to see it if it wants to. Oh yeah, just there. So the detail is excellent. They have resin detectors, so it will stop printing if you run out of resin. I think they are self-monitoring, or some of them are self-monitoring now. So like I said before, if the motor is bottoming out, it can detect that. It can detect the resin temperature, stuff like that. But they don't have one that goes over 200mm. So Anycubic are kind of out of the picture, and I've been looking at some others. Also the M3 Max that they make has a resin reservoir and it auto-fills, but none of the rest do. What's with that Anycubic? Why not just all have the resin tanks there? I don't know what's going on there. The new version 3.1 of their Anycubic Workshop also has intelligent mode, which is meant to automatically adjust the exposures at different points to account for the shape and the structure of your print. That sounds really good. Again, I can't test it, and that other bug I had with Workshop where it was corrupting the files might be fixed now too. So I'm looking at Eligo, whatever you call them. They've got nearly the same specs and functionality. Even the website looks the same, the text looks the same, so I think they're the same company, but they do different printers. They do one up to 150mm an hour, which is just insane. And I think I'm going to get the Saturn 3 Ultra 12K. This thing prints 300mm or 290mm tool, so it's slightly taller. It's a 12K, not a 6K, so better resolution. It's only like 17 by 19 micrometers or whatever it is. It's got most of the stuff, but it doesn't have self-monitoring, which sucks. So I'm going to wait a little while anyway, I think, and maybe get a cheap one just to fill in for now, like a $200 piece of crap. and see if they bring out another large format like Saturn 3 Ultra 12K S that adds that feature. That or the Phenom Forge by Pure Poly, which looks really good. I was listening to a William Osman podcast, and it's called Safety Third, and he's got another Pure Poly one that was just great. So they specialize in large build volume, and the Phenom Forge looks like it's got most of the features. It is a fast-paced industry though, and there are language barriers, and there are shipping costs, and resin is messy and toxic, and there's fumes. So I'm not discounting any of that. I'm also not discounting that Anycubic might make awesome printers. I somehow got 2 duds. They were shipped from Australia and they were sent on a truck, so they're normally handled nice. They get lots of electronics shipped on trucks, but these 2, it didn't work for me. So I am sorry. This will be a long one if I don't have to edit it, and I don't think I will. These are going in the box, in the bin somewhere. I might scrap them for parts. I have written back to the vendors. They seemingly don't care. They have said most things are normal. Put the new motor in, tighten that motor, and that's as good as you're getting. And for me, that's not good enough. I also run a business. I'm using these for business. Sometimes life gives you lemons. When you get lemons, use them till they die and stop whinging about it. That's what I should do. I should stop whinging. So till next time, guys, I hope you're doing well. Take it easy. Sorry for the content, lack of content, unrelated content. There's more-ish coming, but as always, like, subscribe below. Let us know what you think, and I look forward to next time. See ya.